Hey everybody, John from Movie Burners here, back with another movie review, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2018 release Annihilation, of course directed by Alex Garland, a man I've been a fan of for a number of years. Annihilation popped up over on Netflix over here in the United Kingdom, and there was really three main reasons why I went out my way to watch this film. Those being, as I said, Alex Garland's involvement, the extremely positive word of mouth reaction that the film received, and just the trailer as well, which was very intriguing. Annihilation is adapted off of the first novel of the same name from Jeff Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, which incidentally I haven't read, and its basic premise is that it follows a 5-strong group of specialists, each with their own unique set of skills, as they investigate an odd phenomenon which has arisen in Florida. During the film's opening shots, we see a spectacular meteor strike on a lonely-looking lighthouse, which is interspersed with Leigh being grilled by government officials. Now, this gives us a hint early on at what is the real primary cause of this strange phenomenon we see later in the film. Leigh, incidentally, played by Natalie Portman, is a biology professor and clearly the main protagonist within the film. She provides an insight into what happened inside the mysterious alien shimmer via interrogation scenes taking place in the current day. It's through her that Garland primarily weaves the story. When we first meet her, she's still mourning her husband a year after his disappearance and presumed death. He turns up out of the blue, however, shortly afterwards while she's painting the bedroom. But all is not as it seems with Kane, played by Oscar Isaac. He appears to be suffering from severe amnesia, is mentally detached and mumbling away incoherently, not to mention he soon begins bleeding out of the mouth whilst drinking from a cup of water, which really signifies his health taking a turn for the worse, and it's really at this point where the film truly begins in terms of action. Their ambulance is hijacked shortly afterwards during its journey to the hospital by a pursuing convoy of government officers, and the pair are then whisked off to a facility in Florida. Kane slips into a coma, and the truth behind his disappearance and strange behaviour is then revealed. He was part of a squad that entered the shimmer, and until this point was the only living thing to make it back out. It's then revealed that one final scouting party will be heading back in, and of course Leigh, staring out at the mysterious alien object and really driven with a desire to discover what happened to her husband, volunteers for it. Entering the shimmer is the aforementioned Leigh, a biologist, Dr. Ventress, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, a psychologist, Thompson, played by Gina Rodriguez, a paramedic, Radek, played by Tessa Thompson, a physicist, and finally Shepard, played by Tuva Novotny, a geologist. And when they pass through the gigantic alien bubble-like object, they immediately lose a few days. Their camp is set up despite no one remembering doing it, and this really marks the mere beginning for a whole plethora of odd circumstances that they encounter as they continue through the swampy landscape. Annihilation isn't officially considered a horror, but there is a real amalgamation of genres within, which really only adds to the off-kilter tone of the whole thing. And despite it not being officially classed as a horror, there is clear inspiration garnered from that particular genre in here. It follows one of the familiar horror tropes as their expedition to the lighthouse continues, with the group getting whittled down one by one. You also get weird mutated animals popping up, including a very persistent boar, flowers and disfigured corpses lying in the shadows, and just a whole host of strangeness. Probably the most strange moment in the film for me was the video of Kane discovered in an abandoned building, showing him cutting his friend's abdomen open and finding his intestines moving within. That really topped the lot. Now, Annihilation isn't a perfect film. There is imperfections in there. One of those was probably the CGI for me, which I felt was a slight letdown. The creatures never truly convinced for me, in particular the boar, which I mentioned before, which meant that a potentially brilliant scene starring the boar after it had stole away and killed one of the members, and their screams could be heard coming out of its mouth, failed to have the impact that it might have done just because the CG wasn't at the level that I would expect it to be. The periphery characters weren't really involved enough in the plot for me too. They felt slightly underdeveloped, which was a real shame because there was a few cracking performances that frankly deserved better. The structure of the film and the overuse of flashbacks was a real niggle for me too. There was often flashbacks within flashbacks, which was jarring, and the whole romantic backstory of Kane and Leigh and the briefly touched upon affair that she had just felt superfluous to the story and was never really expanded upon. But now on to some positives. I thought the cinematography was stunning in places, especially the way it utilised the natural setting to add to the real ominous feel of uncertainty that the group had within the shimmer. The visuals at the end with the crystalline trees, the bones arranged in strange patterns, and just a wide shot of the lighthouse were absolutely stunning. And then you also had the strange refracted light effect which permeated many of the shimmer scenes. It almost reminded me of oil spill within water, with that weird multicoloured effect. I love the score. It perfectly complemented everything in this film, marrying well with the theme of corruption, the journey Elena went on in particular, and it was absolutely haunting. A mere 4-note main theme, some beautiful string arrangements and the use of an acoustic guitar, and also a whole other host of unorthodox instruments really helped this score. Hats off to Jeff Barrow and Ben Salisbury, because it was one of my favourite things from this film, certainly one of my biggest takeaways. The performances were superb across the board too. Natalie Portman was phenomenal as Lena. She had an overwhelming majority of the screen time and she carried the film easily. Tessa Thompson delivered a quietly powerful portrayal as a quiet, troubled Radic, and I also thought Gina Rodriguez was the standout from the rest as the nippy Forensen. She brought humour in the right places, almost mothered Radic, and then she descended into a paranoid mess before having one final explosive scene, which, out with the finale in the lighthouse, was probably my favourite in the entire film. Oscar Isaac had a glorified cameo. He was in maybe a combined 5 minutes of the film, and his character just felt superfluous to the story. Now, without giving anything away, the last 15 to 20 minutes of this film were probably my favourite. It was the definition of strange anyway, Annihilation, and it's the first word that really springs to mind when I think of it, but that lighthouse finale with Lena was both strange and stunning in equal measures. The bizarre mimicking sort of a dance she had with alien doppelganger that went on uncomfortably long, in combination with the Kane twist which popped up just prior to it, really changed my entire opinion on this film, much in the same way that the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One helped frame my opinion on that one. The twist wasn't a shock, but it was very well implemented, and the doppelganger scene was just incredible. I was transfixed by it, I couldn't take my eyes off it, and it was just an awesome piece of cinema in general. In the end though, I did enjoy this film. It wasn't perfect by any means, as I did mention before. There was some niggling issues in there, but never really spoiled my enjoyment of the film any. Gallen crafted a brilliant adapted screenplay that had a little bit of everything. It had gore, flashes of violence, some sensitivity within certain characters, all the way to the downright odd corruptions of shimmer created on the landscape and its inhabitants. He built the tension beautifully, it kept me engrossed to the very end, and I loved that bit of ambiguity in the end scene between Kane and Elena. Highly recommended viewing for me, especially with it being on Netflix in the United Kingdom, and I'll be giving it a very solid 4.5 out of 5. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then do subscribe to us on YouTube at Movie Burner Entertainment and on iTunes and Google Play at the Movie Burner Podcast, whilst also giving us a little follow on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out on the Movie Burner blog at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.